Hi, cities. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim or Simnanya, and thank you all so much for the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. So I saw videos where people are saying that they were planning to vote for Jill Stein, but at some point they felt like it is going to be a waste. Now, let me tell us something. Some people have decided that their content is going to be Palestinians, all right? Probably they are maybe getting some checks out of it because the way they put in their strength, not just this, I mean, the way they go about it, you will understand that it is not genuine. And for that reason, they are being misled. But I cannot blame you as an adult, or sorry, am I saying blame? I cannot hold an adult or start telling you that you are misleading the other person when you are old enough to make your own decision. So you should know better, right? Now, I see some people saying that it is very foolish that you, probably, especially the ones that are in American soil, are saying they are not going to vote for this person. Why? Because of what is going on back home. The back home that you are supposed to take care of where you are to make sure that where you are saves the place that you are wanting to save. Some people really do not understand it. They feel like Black people are being selfish according to them. They say Black people are selfish, Black people do not care about them, and Black people are oppressors, thinking that they know better. But trust me, you all will understand real soon. Let's get into this video.
I just unfollowed a bunch of people whom I followed in order to be informed about what was happening on the ground in Gaza. Why? Because they think that in order to protest what's happening in Gaza, we have to allow fascism here at home in the United States. I am pro-Palestine. Look at this. This is a sign about pro-Palestine. I cannot count how many pieces of clothing I have with the flag for Palestine. And I've been to protest. I literally cut ties with the Biden administration back in October over Palestine. But guess what? I realized that I don't want to wake up on November 6th and feel like I could have done more to defeat Donald Trump. I cannot claim that I am a human rights activist if I don't care about the vulnerable people at home. And I cannot fight for people overseas if I cannot fix the problems that I have at home. The moment when I realized that I had to help Biden win this election was right after Nikki Haley, who signed a bomb that was destined to kill Palestinians in Gaza, said that she would support Donald Trump, even though she criticized him so badly when she was running in the primaries. I realized then something that I've known but had forgotten for a while, that Republicans will do whatever it takes to get back into power and to make sure that they never lose that power. And you know what the worst thing about all of this is? And these people trying to vote for a third party knowing what is at stake on this election? That their idea of accountability is to punish Kamala Harris and the Democrats by rewarding Donald Trump, the guy who made things worse for the Palestinians by moving the U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, the guy who thinks that Biden hasn't done enough for Netanyahu and who claims that Netanyahu needs more support so that he can finish the Palestinians. So don't tell me that you're asking people to vote for a third party, for a grifter like Jill Stein to help the Palestinians. You might as well be a Netanyahu or Zionist mouthpiece, because that's exactly what you're doing when you're doing this. And let me tell you, I care about the Palestinians. And because I care about the Palestinians, I am supporting Kamala Harris on this election. And I also care about people, vulnerable people here in the United States. And I don't know what made me snap out of it when I thought that Donald Trump was what this country deserved. But I'm so glad that my critical thinking skills allowed me to see through it and to understand that in order to help the Palestinians, I cannot have Donald Trump in the White House. And in case you didn't know, Jill Stein is being financed by Putin himself.
So about 6 months ago, I was passionately prepared to vote for Dr. Jill Stein as President of the United States. I was even volunteering for her campaign. Today, I can say I happily dropped off my ballot to vote for VP Kamala Harris and Governor Walz, and I'll tell you why. There are a lot of reasons why I would never vote for or support Dr. Stein again, but I'm going to take the personal reasons out of this and focus solely on why I think it's important for folks to really understand what you're voting for if you do vote for Dr. Stein in this election. And first, I do want to start with, I had to get out of that mindset that me voting for a presidential candidate meant that I was putting my stamp of approval on everything that they do or say. That's not what elections are. It's really just trying to get closer to the progress that you want to see. And I'm going to start with reason number one. Dr. Stein is not a viable candidate to win this election. So we know, and the campaign knows, that voting for her is essentially wasting your vote. Now, I don't use that term wasting your vote. I don't use that lightly. I was extremely offended when anyone told me I was wasting my vote supporting her, working to get her elected. But when you think about it, it is less than 1 week away from the election. She's not on every single ballot for every state, so she will never get the 270 electoral votes that are needed to sit in that seat as our commander-in-chief. So when you're voting for her as President of the United States, and you know she will never be President of the United States with that vote, you're not voting for Dr. Jill Stein to be the next president of the United States. I don't know if you guys remember the recent parliamentary elections in France, but there's a lot more that we can agree with the Democrats on than disagree with them on. So the fact that our third-party candidates are not trying to unify us against literal fascism is very concerning and worrying to me. And then on top of not putting in any work to unify us against fascism, she's doing a lot of work to bash the more progressive candidate. Now, you can see this with your own eyes. Just go to Dr. Stein's social media sites and you can see that she really only goes after the Democratic Party. She will even be asked a question about Donald Trump and somehow be able to turn it back around to why Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party is in the wrong. So to reiterate, her campaign knows she cannot win this presidency. She chooses to use her energy to tear down the Democratic Party rather than the MAGA party. I was super blind to this, but I do, sitting back and thinking about it, I also do find it odd that we have 4 years between each election. And Dr. Stein tends to just come in at the last minute to try to steer votes away from a certain party, which is obviously, as I said, you can go to her page and see what party that is. And I just find it so odd in that 4 years, we're not really pushing for Green Party candidates in local elections. She could really be a great voice for that. Pushing for younger folks to join the legislative branches, supporting local community programs and building those up. Those 4 years in between elections are the time to do that, not the November prior to the upcoming presidential election. So to reiterate again, she cannot win this election and knows it, is using her energy to bash the more progressive candidate, and is also never using her time and energy in between elections to actually make that impact to get us closer to progress. And I know there are a lot of people that none of that will matter to. You don't want to give your vote to the lesser of two evils. You don't care if the third party is sitting in that presidency. You want everything to burn down. You feel like your communities are suffering. You feel like this current administration has done nothing for your communities. But think about over the next 4 years. You burn everything down with your protest vote, and who sits in office? The dude that wants Netanyahu to finish the job, that thinks Palestine should be waterfront property, that put the embassy in Jerusalem, that kind of caused a lot of this mess in the first place. That's who we will be fighting with to progress our country forward over the next 4 years.
And I know that we desire and want more from our current administration, but let's be real. Kamala Harris is calling for a ceasefire. Kamala Harris is a part of an administration that's sending aid to the Palestinian people. Kamala Harris is a part of an administration that believes in the right to protest. And I don't know if you guys have forgotten what a Trump presidency is and what the reality is of that presidency in the next 4 years, but I do. I remember protesting in the streets consistently for my rights. I remember being tear gassed because Trump does not believe in the right to protest. I have heard what he wants to do to protesters in the future, and I don't want that reality. I don't want the folks in the LGBTQIA plus community, people of color, and women to be using our time and energy to be fighting for our rights. I want to use our time to fight in solidarity for the rights of the Palestinian people.
And now the more preferable reality is that we get that more progressive, albeit not perfect, but more progressive candidate in office with such a large majority that that other party fades into obscurity. We know that this country, the majority of this country, does not align with their values. That is how we progress things. We make sure that it is loud, that we do not align with fascists, that we do not align with this hateful rhetoric that is being spewed from that other side. And we band together to make a statement and make it known that that is not what America is. And that's what it came down to. That's how I prefer to use my vote, to move our country forward, to show that other party that that is not what America is in a very loud way.
I am gonna vote for Jill Stein. Why Jill Stein? Number one, because she's the only human running in this presidential race. Number two, and the very important one for me, as a Muslim Arab American here in New York, I care about who's gonna protect my safety in this country. And we have Trump, who already signed before on a Muslim ban. We have Camilla, who supports the unaliving and killing of our people and is now supporting an ongoing genocide in Palestine. Number three is, although Jill Stein has a very low chance to win, but if she gets more than 5% of the votes, her party is going to get more funding on the coming elections, and that will force the US to give more attention to the third party, which is the Green Party, and that will allow more parties to participate in the elections and in the politics of the US and not ignore them anymore. As we all know, that Jill Stein is a Jewish American who is against the genocide that is happening in Palestine, who is against the Zionist regime, who is against the unaliving of any people from any race, from any religion, and that doesn't mean that she's an anti-Semite or a self-hating Jew or any of these nonsense terms. She is just a human who supports the living of other humans and other indigenous people equally on their homeland. And as Muslim Arab Americans, this is what we want in this country. We want freedom and equal rights for all of us, and the respect for humanity and human rights, us equal to every other human being. We want to end the funding for Israel and Ukraine. We want a ceasefire in the Middle East, because now it's not just Palestine, it's Palestine, Iran, Lebanon, Syria. So my vote is gonna go to Jill Stein, and you as well.
For the third-party Jill Stein voters, just remember Donald Trump has vowed to throw out of the country pro-Palestinian student protesters. So if you're here in the United States on a student visa, you have the First Amendment right to protest just like any other citizen, any other visitor, whether a visitor or permanent. The president cannot throw you out the country, but that doesn't mean Donald Trump's not going to try, because as I said in my previous videos, when he was aggressively trying to round up Latinos and Hispanics in the border, he and his ICE agents arrested 347 U.S. citizens because they were Latino, Hispanic. They detained 121 and they deported 70, including 5 U.S. citizen children. So when he's ready to, he's going to push the order, he'll do it. Again, the First Amendment gives you the right to protest. But however, that didn't stop Donald Trump from asking his generals and the National Guard to shoot George Floyd civil rights protesters. You cannot shoot protesters. He asked. When they said they balked at it, he said, can you shoot them in the kneecaps? So this is a person who does not respect our amendments, our First Amendment rights to protest. He's threatened to harm journalists. He's asked to do all sorts of punitive things, even the business community. He said he would levy a fine if a plant chooses to move their plant to another country. He's going to give them. You can't do that. That's illegal. He constantly says, propose to do stuff that's not legal, and then he tries his best to get around it. And so long as he has his henchmen like Stephen Miller, who, by the way, said already, he tweeted that he's started a denaturalization process, meaning that all you immigrants there who are naturalized, I'm a naturalized citizen as well. Stephen Miller has said there's a plan to denaturalize this. Don't believe this is not a part of a grand scheme. It sounds conspiracy theorist, but it is. It's a grand scheme to slow down the browning of America or reverse it if possible because of this quote-unquote right replacement theory. And best believe Project 2025 is all part of that, because they are trying to stop abortion. They're trying to promote more births. But do you know what births they're really interested in? There's only one type of births they're interested in stopping. They want to increase these births because white replacement theory. So that's what all of this is about, believe it or not. So if you guys aren't away from that, there's no There's no allegiance, so that's what essentially, and so denaturalizing, meaning you and all your family, because a lot of y'all and the people are immigrants. So that's the administration you're helping putting in by voting Jill Stein. And I hate the term lesser of two evils, because I don't think the Kamala Harris is evil at all, but you do. So you're going to go with that approach, because the third party is just a recipe for disaster. And because in the end, it's not going to bode well for any of us, none of us on that side. So I know it's not going to break through to all of y'all, but if there's breakthrough to some people, heed my words. Look at the man said it out of his own mouth. Stephen Miller tweeted that, and they've tried it before, and he said it's going to be more aggressive. So please, I implore you, be sensible. Don't pull a Ross Perot or whoever it was that thwarted Al Gore last time. Don't do that, because it's possible. All right? Thank you. That's my PSA for today.
As of Friday, November 1st, the state of Ohio has said we will not count votes for Jill Stein, even though she's on the ballot. They have denied her request to count these votes. I am filing a class action lawsuit. I've already emailed the ACLU in Ohio and other constitutional and civil rights lawyers. If you would like to join me in this class action lawsuit, contact me.
This is all I got from this video. And like you said, critical thinking. Some people have refused to use it, and I am not going to borrow you or tell you how to use it. The fact that a majority of them think that they are, to them, they are punishing Black people. Why? Because Black people say this is who we are voting for, right? So to them, they are like, why would you vote for her? Like, we need our freedom, and you are planning to vote for her. Some people really do not understand how this works. I mean, they think they are going to punish the woman for what the president did, right? And then give power to someone that will. I mean, how do you people think? How do you people reason? Some people are going to be like, maybe you are anti this, no. I can count about 30 to 40 videos I made on Palestinians, on Palestine, what was going on, how it all started. I made a lot of videos. When I said a lot of videos, I did not stop. I did not back down, because also Black people were also into it so bad. Or should I say so good? They fought really hard. And I was also, even to the extent that I felt like at some point I neglected my own people, that it's Congo. That doesn't mean that I was not posting Congo. I was posting Congo. But the attention was so much on them. Why? Because people that look like me do not get that attention. They do not have that opportunity to get things easily and all that. At some point, I knew that I was messing up. Sincerely speaking, I am going to admit that, right? I won't say that I did not do, or I did what any human being would have done. But when I knew that I am neglecting, or I was neglecting my own people, I moved over to Congo, right? Did all the awareness and all that, like I kept until Sudan and the rest of them. But now let me tell us something. I don't know if this is even but it is for people that have they said that we are not going to vote for her. I mean, we are going to vote for Jill Stein. Like you heard, Putin is the one sponsoring her. But then, have you ever heard? I mean, some people are really not, I don't know, should I say intellectually capable of holding a political conversation. Why? Because there is what we call history when it comes to politics. There are some people that you can tell that there are some political parties you can say that they have a chance of winning here. They have a chance of winning there, right? And so far, I don't care about whatever anybody's saying, third party. There is nothing like third party. You have only two political powers or political parties coming for this election, and that is this and that. So it is either you go for them, or like the young lady said, she felt like she was wasting her vote, or you waste your vote, because even a vote for Jill is like a vote for Trump. I don't know if you understand that. Some people have decided that they will use emotions, they will use feelings to block their eyes, because if they are woke, that's why we talk about woke, and they think that we are being that we don't know what we're saying when we say that we are woke. Being woke to understand that a vote for this person will save them a lot. Now, I am not telling you that she is probably going to cut ties with Israel. It's not going to happen. But you will absolutely see difference. You will see her doing her work, because she is now in a position to take care of some certain things by her own decision, or with her own decisions, right? But some people have refused to understand that. And I also do not have problem that they are voting for the other person. But I hope that he has also made a report that said that if you are anti-Israel, especially in that state you are in, America, that he is sending you back home. So I hope you are at the same time packing your bags, because you got to go home, baby. It's time to go home and go see your family. And how is it that people in America, I am not saying there is no genocide that is better. I don't know if you understand this. No this and no peace, right? But saying that you are not going to take care of what is happening where you are, or because you are not going to vote because of what is happening where you are, and you are fighting for what is abroad, right? Without taking care of where you are. I don't know what to say. That also tells how you people do not know anything, do not know politics. I am not prof when it comes to politics, but there are some certain things you use your brain to know that it works this way, it works that way. It is so easy to understand it. But then I cannot help you when you are not ready to be helped, because at some point, Black people became the problem. When you know that we are not the problem. Am I going to say that you are the problem? Maybe, but there is need for you all to sit down and evaluate yourselves, because you all getting it all wrong. See you on in my next video. Bye for now.